Hey guys, Mike from Shamino's workshop. I'm going to zoom in on that beauty. Today we have sort of an unboxing, review, install demo, I guess we'll call it. This is the wonderful Sabers Scavenger, right? So Rey's lightsaber at the end of Rise of Skywalker. Supposed to be maybe it's parts of her staff, or maybe just influenced by her staff, but I like to think that she took some parts of her staff and made her lightsaber from it, although I haven't really done much research on that, but we'll go with it. So this particular saber, I have two with me. One was raw, which is for a friend. Oops, sorry, I gotta zoom out. So this one is for a friend. He wanted the raw black, and he's a retired Marine, so he prides himself on the paracord and the techniques that he learned, and really wanted to try something different and sort of wrap his own grip, and he may or may not in the future do weathering, but I have that installed for him and plan to present that to him in the near future. However, mine, weathering is something I do very, very infrequently. I've done it a couple of times on my own personal hilts, but I don't offer it, as part of commission work. I don't have enough experience, nor do I trust myself. So usually when I want something weathered, I'll just pay to have it done. And Wonderful Sabers worked with Multiverse props to have this weathering done. That's the little business card they give you. So I had received my friend's probably about a month ago, and I just received mine this week. So it was good timing because I was actually working on the install for my friend. So as you can see, the weathering is really just sanding along the edges, making it look worn. You have these pieces up here, which it looks like, I don't know if he used paint or marker or something, but there's sort of a purplish haze. I'm trying to get it in the light so you could see it, which is a nice touch. He added some sort of purplish, blackish color, which is nice because it adds some color to it. And then the wrapping, I don't know if that's suede, cloth. I don't think, it doesn't feel like leather. But there's a couple of layers of wrap there. So I like that. I think it came out really nice. And then also the kit comes with a different style emitter ring without the spikes, so just flat on top, which was also weathered, but I don't plan to use that. And then also a static display pommel cap, no sound venting, as compared to the one I have, which has sound venting. And just to show you with the kit, without any of the weathering, it's just solid black, probably black anodized. So you get a full kit. Oh, and then the baggie comes with those pieces, which are definitely not colored. It's just raw black anodized. So that's how I know. That's how I know that the that some sort of painting here was done. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside for a moment. We'll bring back the installed one, and I'll show you the chassis that I use. So this is Robert Sotomayer's design. Sorok Sabers. Am I zoomed? I feel like I'm zoomed in. Okay. I wouldn't call it a basic chassis, right? It has the elements, the basic elements, right? For 18650 removable battery, 28 mil speaker, Proffie holder, and I'm sure it comes in CF10 or other. You have a single switch, and the ones he sent me hold custom saber shop, so it's an 18.5, I think, millimeter inner diameter. So, which reminds me, I should talk to Robert about that, fitting a stock one in there. I'll probably just have to maybe print a small, which is tough, right? Because there's only a 1 millimeter difference between a custom saber shop and a stock PCB. So printing a 1 millimeter ring spacer may not be feasible. I might have to do something. I don't know. I have to think about that. But generally, I've moved away from just using custom saber shop PCBs because I generally want the pixels on board without having to convert a blade plug, which is what I did here. And you can see here there's a recessed area, and that's to add some pixels for the emitter ring, which I'll show you. So that's the empty chassis that I used. So I have a blade plug. This is a Saber Bay turbine plug, not weathered or anything, right? It's raw. There is another style blade plug that I also use that that is weathered, and I might throw that in here. I have to buy it again on eBay. It's about 25 bucks, but it's a different pattern. It doesn't have the spike on top here. It's more flat, but it has the turbine. It's weathered. It's got a nice weathered look to it, and I think that would go pretty well here because this pops too much. Right? It's too bright with all of this black. So let's turn it on. So the way that this works is you have, I guess Wonderful Sabers tried to replicate how Ray turns and ignites the saber. If you look closely in the movie, she rotates it just in one direction to turn it on. It's not like an on-off. I guess, that's probably difficult to replicate, but here it's, you kind of have to twist it to turn it on. And I might play with gestures. I haven't dealt with that yet, but so for right now, it's just a quick on. And I'll put a blade in. In the movie, there's a very brief delayed ignition. So I replicated the delayed ignition with 250 millisecond delayed. So you see this ignite first, and you get the blue spark, just like in the movie, and then the blade ignites about a quarter second later. I tried. You can hear it if you listen to the ignition sound. You hear the click, and then you hear the ignite. You could probably open that sound in Audacity and find the exact timing, but 250 seemed to work. I'll use this one to demonstrate what's going on there with the ring. So you can see in the ring there's this little, and it actually goes this way. There's this little, I don't know, this piece of material here that, when turned, touches the button. But then it stops. It would have been cool if, and I don't know, maybe with some modification you could cut this piece here. But to really replicate the movie, it would be cool if you could turn it beyond this notch. You see, there's a little recess here. If you could get the same recess on the other side, then I'd be able to completely replicate the ignition by just quick turning. Because, so let me get this right. So you can see where the button, there's an O-ring spacer here that isn't needed. Right, but hopefully you can kind of see what's going on here. Right, is the ring is turning, that groove or that piece is then touching the switch plunger and activating. But really, if we wanted to replicate what she's doing in the movie, it's a full turn. It's a turn beyond, right? It's not a sort of like a twist on off, right? Or just a rotation. So I don't know, maybe I'll experiment with that and see if I can't bevel this edge in the same manner that this edge is beveled, and perhaps replicate or better replicate what's going on. But without that, it's just it's a quick sort of like a flick. And let me toss a blade in there. So I'm using, so this is ProffieOS 5.6, so it's the latest. I'm using a modified SA22 prop file. It's obviously one button configuration, and I've removed volume control and what else? I've removed the ability to change the volume, just to make it simpler to manage. So yeah, I'm sorry. So and what else? I removed something else too. So just to simplify the usage, since it's only a one button. But you can see that delayed ignition, and then I'm also using Fett's blade style for Ray. He has a specific blade style in the 4.8 library, his style builder library, which gives you the color. It gives you the color swing effect. So the harder you swing it, the more it changes to sort of a brightish white color. And oh, that's the other thing. I modified it so it's not a long hold to turn it off, right? So it's a quick on, but it's also a quick off. So with that said, let me, as you can see, the chassis is actually fully removable. There's no recharge port, there's no on-off switch. And the way the hilt is designed, you unfortunately can't just pull this out, because there is, oh, actually, yeah, no, you know what, I'm lying. Putting it back in is, you know, so you can. You don't just have power, you have his power. The battery was loose. If you get the alignment correct, which is here, you don't have to take the main body off to get it back in, but getting the alignment in that little space could be challenging. Yeah, see, I don't think I'm lined up perfectly there. That might be it. Yep. So it's fully removable, right? Which is nice. And the reason that it's nice is I can take that fully installed chassis and put it in this other one. So just to give you an idea. So, you know, sorry, I don't think I've showed you this yet. So 28 mil bass speaker, 18650 battery. Proffieboard 2.2, your tactile switch. I have 6 pixels, and then just covered with some like Velcro to diffuse it, which is not really diffusing it too much. It's more just hiding it, right? Obviously, you can see them individually. You can still see the individual pixel lights, but at least, you know, it's hiding some of the wire that would be right there, and it's also hiding the pixels themselves. So it's an attempt. And then your custom Saber Shop pixel PCB. So I can toss that in here. So let me, instead of using the O-ring, Robert also provides a spacer. This little spacer ring, and he sent me 2 of them, and I seem to have lost one of them in my workshop. So I'll just have to recreate that, which should be pretty simple to do. But the O-ring, and you know what? This O-ring is a lot smaller than, you know what? Maybe I'm going to try the O-ring first. The O-ring gets in the way of the tactile switch, but this O-ring is a lot thinner. Maybe it won't get in the way of the tactile switch. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to try that. Let's try that one. So you got to get this on first. And then you can put this one on. Okay. But the issue is you can't just install this like this. There's a reduction up here. And so in order to install the, right, there's a couple of ways that you can do this. What I do is I remove this bottom piece. I insert the chassis from the bottom, and you'll see that's as far as it's going to go, because there's an inner reduction, so that stops right there. But then you can line it up, and then as you turn it, the chassis will move in more until it's perfectly lined up. See, there's a little bit of there's too much play here, which is, so it's nice that O-ring, the smaller O-ring works, but I think I'm going to go with this because it's a little bit thicker, doesn't seem to interfere with the tactile switch, and it does get rid of some of that wobble. We could probably drill and tap for retention here to keep the chassis in place once it's in, but I haven't really found the need to do that. It's pretty snug, but fully removable chassis. Oops. I haven't figured out the music track. I forget how it starts. Is it a double? Yeah, I think it's a double, which is a little challenging. Yeah, you see, it's hard to get that double click to start the music, but yeah. So, you know, good venting. You can see there's some venting here. There's some venting there. Or actually, is that venting? I don't know if that's venting as it is. No, not venting. Just a style, I guess. Your venting's down here. And, you know, there is more room. I'll have to chat with Robert about this as well. Speakers up there, and that's helping with resonance. But there is some more room down here. You could probably extend the chassis a little bit more, get a kill switch in there. Robert and I disagree with the need for kill switches in these types of setups. But you have to think of the end user that this saber is going to, which in this case is my friend, doesn't own a lot of sabers, isn't really in tune with, you know, what we are all in tune with. And Proffieboard doesn't have a deep sleep. We do have the idle off, and that helps. But if my friend just wants to put this on his shelf and not have to deal with removing this to take the battery out, boom, kill switch, turn it off. Put it back on, put it on the shelf, you're done. That battery won't drain. Certainly not as quickly as it will drain if I just leave it like this. So I think there's room for improvement on that design. Robert would tell you, pull the chassis out, take the battery out, put it on the shelf, and then put this back in. And I don't disagree with him. You know, if this was my saber, I could do that. I mean, that's not difficult, right? So I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying that not all customers are alike, and some customers might like that kill switch so that they don't have to take the battery out. Certainly, you got to take the battery out to charge it, right? I'm not asking for a recharge port, although there are some people that would ask you for a recharge port there too. But yeah, I do think that you could extend this 5 or 10 millimeters and get a kill switch right there. So we'll see. We'll see. But outside of that, I'm pleased. It's a simple design, but it's a simple chassis design, but you know, it had to account for not issues. I won't say there are issues with the hilt, but just it's unique, right? This is a very unique design. The first time I've encountered this type of turn on-off switch, right? We know the Spectre, the staple gun, right, has an on-off, but that's more of a selector. It's not an on-off for turning the saber on and off or the blaster on and off. It's a mode selector, right, for turning it from blaster to saber. I'm not sure I've encountered an on-off switch that's like this style. So it's unique, right? And I think Robert did a pretty good job designing a simple. And I told him, I'm like, this is probably one of the easiest installs I've done, considering that it's a 2-blade setup. And what I mean by that, I mean, right, with removable chassis, fully removable chassis, everything's in here. There's a fully working internal chassis. I can use this outside of the hilt and it's fully functional. So that's what I mean by that. And those are the easiest things to install, right? Because I can install this without having the saber or the hilt. And, you know, so speaker was easy to run. The battery terminals were easy to run. Only one switch, so 2 switch wires. You know, so, and then obviously you have your NeoPixel connector, which is another 3 wires. This is a 2013 pixel strip, which is what I had on hand and figured I'd try it. The difference between the 2013 and the previous 2012B there's some subtle differences, but the main difference is the backup data pad. So instead of running 3 wires here, I ran 4 wires, 2 data wires, one primary and one is backup. So if one of these pixels were to go, it wouldn't. So that was the downside of the previous version of the pixel strip, is if one pixel dies, then all of the subsequent pixels die in series. The 2013 spec adds a backup data line so that if a single pixel fails, it can still, power still goes beyond it, but the single pixel won't break the data line, which is running in series, because you have the backup line, which will bypass it. So with that said, all I did was run two data wires from my Data 2 pad so basically I join them here, and so it's sort of like a Y split, right? So I have my 2 data leads that are going to the 2 data pads. So one more wire, right? But all in all, that probably took me about 30 minutes to just get the wiring central. And then, I don't know, another 30 minutes to program the Proffieboard and solder all the wires to it. So, long story short, I told Robert this is probably one of the easiest chassis I've had to do, or one of the easiest installs I've had to do in a while, which was refreshing. So, I'm looking forward to doing mine. Let's see, is that it? Yeah, and so that's not so bad. So once it's set up and it's aligned, I can, I don't know that you can see it, but I can look in there and I can see where the switch hole is, and I can get it seated, and then I can get, I guess I can't. There we go. I think that, yep. Beautiful. And so I have to put the spikes on my friends, or really what I want to do is ask him what he prefers. Does he want the spikes or does he want the flat top? I like the spikes. So I'm going to go with those on mine. And I think that's it. I think that's everything to show. And then, yeah, I can drop. Let's see what this looks like in mine. I probably have to back out that. There you go. That looks pretty cool. All right. So she's done. She'll go up. Well, mine will go up on my display shelf with my other sabers, and I'll hand off my friend's Hilt to him hopefully this week, and he'll be pretty excited about it. This is the same. I don't know, for those who watch my videos, I had done in was it in LS6? I did a Luke V2 for the same friend whose brother-in-law was building an R2D2, life-size R2D2, and he wanted a V2 saber to go into R2's dome, just like in Return of the Jedi. I've begged and pleaded for an update on that build, and I haven't seen it yet. So hopefully one day I'll get access to that R2, maybe grab some photos and show off the saber in the dome, and because he was going to build a mechanism where, not that it would shoot out, but it would go up and down on some sort of motor. So that'd be cool. But same friend who I built this saber for. All right, well, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate I looked at my channel the other day, and number of subscribers, it's getting up there, which is pretty cool. So hopefully my channel is enjoyable and you guys are getting some education out of it. All right, well, any questions, feel free to leave comments or reach out. I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks.